Today it's time for a best of 7 series of top level StarCraft 2. It's time for a Zerg versus Protoss. We're in the top left hand corner, representing Basilisk. With the red Zerg pieces, we have none other than Reynor. And his opponent, down in the bottom right, representing Zest. We're looking inside of the main base of Hero, of course, playing for T1. Now, I've heard that this series is an absolute banger, so we'll have to find out together. Obviously, both of these players are ridiculously good. Hero has been just on another level lately. I mean that in both the most positive as well as the most negative way. The thing is, when Hero is performing cleanly, he looks nearly unbeatable, but that's exactly the problem you run into. Hero can play like a bit of a clown sometimes, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that you sometimes can't make any sense of the strategies that he is cooking up. Now, normally I think it works well against very macro-focused Zerg players. Think of, for example, somebody like, well, Solar, maybe even Serral, although again, I haven't seen Serral really play much on the new patch just yet. Usually, if you play something weird, you can get away with it. But Reynor is not the type of player that will really let you breathe if he notices that you have slipped up in any way whatsoever. So we'll have to see. I think Hero is gonna have to tidy things up just to have a shot against somebody of Reynor's caliber, because, I mean, it's a best of 7 series. You can't really play like big macro games every single time. So I am expecting some spice across the board, honestly, from both of them. Now, Reynor, of course, is somebody who does prefer going for mid-game timing attacks rather than like early-game shenanigans. I've seen him go for some queen drops. We've seen him do a lot of Hydraling Bane pushes in this matchup especially on the new patch. Now that the Baneling has +5 additional health, it really does seem to make that strategy a little bit more viable. So that is what I'm at the very least expecting. And those sort of timing attacks in particular, usually I think that's the real strength of timing attacks. Usually they punish the opponent that misplayed. So if you do something that is suboptimal, or maybe you go for a strategy that is not quite the current meta, usually that's the type of thing that gets absolutely destroyed by timing attacks. Now we're going to start off here with a little bit of a Stalker aggression, apparently. That's a curious one. We don't have an Adept yet, but it's Stalker here into a Stargate, and then an Adept on the back of this as well. The idea is to kill that first Overlord, and immediately a Reynor here has recognized that that Overlord is not going to survive, but he's hoping to at the very least get a glimpse of whatever the tech of the opponent is going to be. He knows. Oh, a rally point. There we go. Stargate indeed is spotted. A couple of Zerglings now also do pop in. And this is a nice beginning here for the Italian Zerg. Now drawing that Stalker as far away as possible too. He's going to see, I think, an Oracle. Yep. Perfect beginning here for Reynor. It's exactly what you're hoping for. Now, the Adept did go across. Third hatchery has already started up. 8 additional Zerglings right now on the back of this as well. Link speed is just about a half minute or so away from being done, so you have to be careful. Obviously, this is now a Stalker into an Adept, so you can't be as aggressive here with the Adept, although he's still gonna commit. Takes 2 shots, of course, to kill a drone. A little bit of accidental body blocking. Drones derping against one another. There will be queens on the low ground as well, ready to chase this down. Oh, spicy. Perfect surround right there by Reynor. I don't think he can complain about a whole lot of anything. The problem now becomes is that Hero probably needs to send this Oracle back home. Instead, he decides to commit. Problem is, if he has this Oracle on the other side of the map, misfire right there as well from the Protoss, you can't secure a third. So, yeah, you just have to send this guy back home right now. Normal timing for a Protoss' third base is about 350 at latest. We're already past the 4-minute mark, and it's because Hero committed with the, well, very first Oracle there, fair enough. But he's also gone the second Stargate route together with a Fleet Beacon. So this, I think, is 2-base Tempest? Maybe 2-base Carrier? Maybe a Mothership Rush? Probably 2-base Tempest, though. It's really the only thing that makes some sense. But I will be honest with you, in general, this is not a build order that we usually see at this level of StarCraft. Very popular in, like, Diamond League. It is indeed going to be Tempest. Very popular in Diamond League because, in general, this is one of those strategies that requires way more skill to counter than it takes to execute. We're gonna go apparently into the Tectonic Destabilizers upgrade as well. That is the ability that allows the Tempest, with their auto attacks, to deal double damage to structures. Now, it takes 5 Tempests to one-shot most of the important things from the Zerg, like, for example, Queens. So, if you can somehow, some way, go up to 5 Tempests, that can obviously work out really well. But I don't think you can really buy that much time. Now, Reynor is assuming that this is a 2-base all-in, probably Immortal Sentry, maybe Blink Stalker, maybe something like that. He is still at hatchery tech. He's making Queens, defensive Zerglings. He's got a bunch of Banelings here ready to go. But what he doesn't have is a lair, so he can't go Spire. And generally speaking, you need a Spire in order to counter Tempests. Usually you sacrifice Queens to buy time for the Spire to finish up. Big Zergling run by in the meantime. I do quite like the idea. Yeah, those Queens, I mean, they should technically never be within range. As long as the Oracles throw Revelations down on top of the Queens, the Tempest should be able to fire at their maximum range, and therefore it should be a relatively easy set of snipes right here for Protoss. Dude, this is the hero I was trying to mention, though. He is oozing confidence in his StarCraft lately. Just having a good time, breaking the meta with some of the weirdest strategies out there. With strategies that are quote-unquote solved. Reynor would have easily dealt with this if he was already at lair tech. But Hero here very intelligently knows how the opponent plays against it. Now, here's the Tectonic Destabilizers finished up, so you can see the golden bars right now flowing across, and they will deal double damage to structures. We are soon, yeah, we're already at 5 Tempests right now in total. We should really start up a Spire here ASAP, but obviously the problem now becomes is that if somehow, some way Protoss finds where that Spire is, it is a one-shot of these Tempests away from being dead. Now, there was a double expansion here from Reynor, so he is fully anticipating that he is going to lose the third, and indeed that did happen. These Tempests are going to be hunting, man. If the Tempests can see the Spire building, they will take it down in a heartbeat. That's why I would have expected those Oracles to go in a little bit more aggressively for some Revelations, because scouting this right now is absolutely crucial. Instead, though, Hero is just sniping bases. Alright, that's the second hatchery going down. Next up is the lair. He's not even bothering looking for any of it. He's not even bothering trying to find the Spire. He is just sniping expansions. Ay, ay, ay. Even though the build time of the Spire has been reduced, Hero sees it, he sees it, he sees it. Snipe it, Hero! If he cannot make Corruptors, the game is over. Hero, what are we doing? Oh, he didn't notice. Well, at the very least, Reynor is going to have a shot at spending some of his larvae and building a bunch of Corruptors. But honestly, you need about a dozen. You're not going to be able to do that much with just 5. That's another hatchery down the drain. What in the world is this strategy right here from Hero? He is warping in the entire reinforcement over here too, just to deal with a potential Zergling run by. I think Hero has won the game. I think this is it. The mining here from the Zerg, despite having like 50% more workers for the majority of the game, has just been atrocious. GG. Oh, Hero. How do you prepare for an opponent like Hero? One of the most accomplished tournament players in the world. The highest ranked Protoss player on the planet right now. Overtaking both Classic as well as Max Specs. He is just such a tough opponent to go up against. Because, seriously, he will bring anything to the table. And that is one of the main criticisms, I guess, that you can have in StarCraft 2 in general. Not just from Protoss players. I mean, yeah, you can say that somebody like Showtime is very, you know, very easy to prepare for, because he will do the same strategy over and over and over again. The same thing can be said for Max Specs most of the time, although there will be some small deviations. Classic really likes to play the same way, well, repeatedly as well. But Hero does a little bit of everything, and it makes him such a tough nut here to crack for Reynor. So, the way that this strategy worked, right, is that Hero, he must have studied some of Reynor's replays, or at the very least, he must have played against Reynor recently, and he knows the tendencies here of the Italian Zerg. So I think this is probably something that Hero has analyzed, but I think in his mind, right, if Zerg does not see Protoss taking a third base at about the 4-minute mark at latest, Reynor is going to delay the lair until whatever 2-base push from Protoss has hit on the other side of the map. So Hero must have recognized that, and he realized, wait, if that's the case, a Tempest build order is very viable yet again. What Reynor could have done to counter it is make one less queen and make a lair like a full minute earlier. That's what we normally see from Zergs. That's what we usually go for. But clearly Hero knew that his opponent wasn't going to do it, or very unlikely to go ahead and do so. And it worked out perfectly for him. Now, it's not a strategy I'm expecting multiple times. I don't believe we're going to be seeing 2-base Tempest again. I mean, it really shouldn't be possible. But then again, right? You can play this this weird mind game all the time too right now, where if you are in Reynor's shoes, do you really expect that the opponent is going to do the same thing a second time around? Surely not. So if they're not going to be doing it, right, you don't have to really adjust your strategy that much. So maybe because of that, Hero knows, well, wait a second. Maybe I should go for the strategy a second time over. Well, we've already gone back to the drawing board, though. This is a Twilight Council first build. It's another one of those strategies that technically is not S tier, right? So what we normally see in StarCraft 2 is build orders that are exclusively S tier. This is going to be a straight charge lot push. Really? I think that's what I like so much about Hero's playstyle. Like, when you think about it, right? If you treat every game like a best of one, you would go for the S tier strategies every single time. At least that is what you would normally do on the ladder. But Hero is not playing a best of one. He's playing a best of 7. So we may as well go ahead and mix it up and go for some strategies that are maybe on paper slightly suboptimal, but still nearly impossible here for the opponent to scout. Proxy Gateway goes up on the right side of the map. This is going to be a 2-base charge lot all-in, probably off of 8 gates. Yeah, this is an 8-gate, 2-base charge lot all-in. Now, this is one of those builds that I would not consider most of the time a pro gamer's build, in the sense that it's like, you know how when you play a racing game and you can turn all of the aids on, so you get like the racing line, maybe you get auto braking, you get the steering, right? You get a color on the screen to let you know whether or not you need to slow down. This is a build order where basically you just attack move with the Zealots, and then you close your eyes and hope that it is gonna work out, because there's basically no micro available when you play a charge lot all-in. This is going to... It's a hallucinated prism! He is completely baiting Reynor here. It's an hallucinated prism. Hero can execute this as well as literally any Master League player. There is no rocket science here whatsoever. Ay, ay, ay. This is one of the absolute easiest builds to go for. But also, if your opponent is already sort of on the ropes, it is a terrifying one. Still though, Reynor has now started making a lot of links. And I'm a little bit afraid here that Hero is going to have to transition out of this. Maybe not, though. Zealots are real good. Reynor didn't even skip the Roach Warren this time around, which he regularly does do. Imagine if there was no Roach Warren in this game. Drones on hold position here, trying to derp out some of the micro here on those Zealots. Look at the drones surrounding the Roaches and the Queens just to mitigate as much of the damage as possible. An absolute miss. I kind of love it, though. I kind of do love it. But I think Reynor has held. Yeah. I believe that there is, okay, pretty much no way here for Reynor to now die to this attack. We do have now the sentry showing up. I mean, maybe force fields? Not to be underestimated. The force fields may just be able to get those Zealots to actually close the distance. Still no third base. Oh, here we go. Apparently we now pull the trigger. Great positioning right here for Reynor, by the way. Look at him reducing the surface area. I don't think you could take this fight in any better location than the one that he took. The numbers are kind of nuts, though. Yeah, the numbers here are just so freaking good. And normally, Zerg defends this type of all-in from an eco advantage, right? So you can take some of these losses and recover. But Hero actually has 2 more workers mining here than the Zerg. I mean, yeah, there's a third hatchery right here for Reynor, but there's no mining going on, so the third base is just for some larva generation, a little bit of creep. But Hero is actually economically totally fine here, and he's certainly going to be able to kill the third right now. Oh, Hero. Oh, Hero. My favorite part about this sort of thing, right, is that I know there's a lot of Protoss players that struggle in this matchup right now. And they will deeply analyze some of the replays from, say, for example, a Max Specs or a Classic. And I'll be like, ooh, yeah, you know what I need to do? I need to switch this and this and this thing out. And I need to go and switch that out. If I just delicately shave like 5 seconds off here, I should be able to arrive at a slightly sharper timing attack. And then on the flip side, you have Hero, who's absolutely killing it in tournaments lately, who just does whatever he feels is the correct play. What a beast. Okay. Okay. Now, the problem here, though, for Reynor, and also actually for Hero, is that the game is not yet over. So how do you decide what to do? Reynor has apparently decided that we are going to turtle up on 2 bases. Lair coming up, Bailing Nest coming up as well. Hero built double Robo facility and is following his 8 Rex all-in up with mass immortal production. He's not going to fight here, but Reynor doesn't know that. He's just doing a little bit of walking. He doesn't know about the hidden expansion here that Reynor is trying to win the game with. I mean, if he were to see this, man, that hatchery would be dead in a heartbeat. So Reynor here, at the very least, getting away with it for now, but I mean, he's going to have to transfer drones there for this to be really that efficient. I'm assuming we're going to go and warp in a few Zealots over here, yeah. There's the +1 ground attack coming up as well. Inside of the Forge, the Immortals have now already, popped out. We've turned this into an Immortal Sentry all-in. So we've gone from a build order that doesn't really require a whole lot of gas at all. Really only Warp Gates, Twilight Council, and then the Charge Research. To now also +1 melee, by the way. Like, +1 ground is going to make those Zealots 2-shot Zerglings rather than 3. I mean, there's not that many links available at the moment, but it is something that can certainly be efficient. Roach speed coming up. Banelings are already out. Stalkers now also added into the mix. And honestly, the Immortals alone are going to force so much info. Now this tight choke point here that Reynor has created is looking very force-fieldable. The Roachborn is part of the wall-off. Normally, we wouldn't be able to see the Zealots kill it, but the Immortals can very easily take that down. Reynor decides to commit. Good splits right here by Hero 2. Both the Roach speed as well as the +1, I believe, is going to get denied. Prism shows up too. This time around, it's a real one. Yep. Hero. Man, I would hate playing against Hero. Some days he looks like an absolute god. And some days, well, let's say he doesn't. It seems to me that in this series, we are getting version 1. GG. Okay, so how would Zerg be able to counter the 2 build orders that we have just seen? Well, the easiest thing to do is to just scout. Just scout. That immediately is also the problem. Hero is certainly the type of guy that will go for a Stargate opener and then go Void Ray first. Now, of course, I haven't seen these games yet, but I think it would be very smart right now for Hero to play a normal game, but rather than go Oracle first, you go Void Ray first. That way, Zerg is not gonna really feel inclined to go for a double Overlord Scout. Now, Last Fantasy is a map where, in general, I think it's a good idea to go for Void Ray builds. It's not a bad call on most maps, even though I don't think it's the best strategy to go for across the board. But just the potential threat of there being a Void Ray out on the map, usually that's enough to prevent Zerg players from going for double Overlord Scouts. So for Reynor to really figure out the builds that he just played against, he would need to go double Overlord Scout. But Zergs don't feel like they can do it, because if you go for double Overlord Scout, the opponent sees it, builds a Void Ray, you lose 2 OVs, you fall pretty far behind, because everything just slows down to a trickle. So here's once more, just a single OV moving out. I think you got to keep playing into that image. If you want to play more cheeky builds moving forward, I think it's critical as well to dissuade the opponent from ever going for those sort of strats. Now, you could make the argument that drone scouting is maybe a decent idea for Reynor. I think most Zerg players kind of feel like they have been boxed into a corner quite a lot. So, Zealot has been so successful over like the last 7 years of competition that the Zerg early game, it's really been nerfed in strength quite a lot. And all of the little things combined, I think it makes the top-level Zerg players feel like they just don't have any wiggle room at all. If you compare it to the way that Hero plays, right? Hero feels like he's got about 17 different strats. Most Zergs feel like they have about 2. There's one with like a quick Roach Warren, and there's one with a quick +1 melee. But other than going like full proxy hatchery or whatever, there really isn't a viable alternative early game build for Zerg. I was thinking maybe with the new patch going live, maybe we could go like 2-base Muta or something like that, but it's not really a strategy we see much. Maybe a Nidus play. I was secretly hoping that maybe like the Infestation Pit, like going quick, like for example, Microbial Shroud with a timing attack would be kind of cool, but then I decided to adjust it and lock the ability behind a... is this not a high ground? I think it is. Ah, alright. Apparently this is not, but this is. Curious. Anyways, they locked it behind a research, so Microbial Shroud timing attacks are also kind of out of the window, so a lot of Zergs kind of feel like they are forced into a specific strat. What are we going for, by the way, Hero? This is a Twilight Council? Are we going Archon drops? Dark Shrine? There is no freaking way, Hero. Oh, Hero. Sure. Sure. No, we do a Dark Templar all-in. Sure, why not? This is game 3, by the way, of a best of 7, and we have yet seen... Yeah, we have yet to see Protoss take a third. There's not been a single third base. This is a hit squad of Zerglings here to try and deny a third, but there is no third. Reynor's gonna see that right now. Absolute heartbreak here on the side of the Zerg. Because now, what is going on inside of his base? How do you know? We have a single Overlord Scout. It's a 3-player map. It went the wrong way. Is it going to be 2-base Tempest? Is it going to be a fake Warp Prism again? Is this an hallucination? Is it real? You don't know. There is no way to tell whether or not this is real. So Reynor has to prepare for the inevitability of everything. And that is rarely a good way to play. Now, I think now he might be able to tell that this is indeed real. Dark Templar are going to get warped in. Reynor did make blind Spore Crawlers here, primarily to try and counter Skytos. Okay. Best case scenario so far here for Reynor in all of these games. Dark Shrine is going to be researching the Blink upgrade for the Dark Templar as well. Wow. Like, this is a B-tier build order for Protoss, I think. Like, this is not even close to one of the best. I would say the best build for Protoss across the board is probably triple Oracle into Blink Stalker, right? And then you have some, like, A-tier strategies that are also most of the time really good, where maybe you go, like... You know that mana strategy, for example, that we recently saw in another series, where he went for an Oracle start, but then a very quick follow-up with Archons, and then into quick, like, Storm, right? Like, a build order like that, I think might be A-tier. This right over here is probably B-tier at best. Maybe, like, an Adept all-in would be, like, another A-tier strategy. But this is what the pro gamers would refer to as a Clown Fiesta. Commonly used terminology. for the pros. This is the circus that is back in town. All right, a third base starts up. 6 minutes in. Prism is faking it in the main base. Okay. So Reynor is safe. Yeah. Spire is going to be built because of it. We're going to go into what looks like a Muta follow-up. Archon drops now on the back of this. Man, Hero just is on another level with Protoss lately. If he would have played like this at the EWC, I feel like he would be difficult to beat, man. Oh, it's kind of beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, it's... I feel like it's a cool idea for a weekly tournament too, right? But when there's like hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, do you really have the balls to go for a DT all-in? You know what I mean? Do you want to go for a Dark Templar rush? For 100 grand? I don't know. I don't know, man. It's... Maybe you should. Maybe it is the right thing to do. But I don't think when the nerfs come in, that is something most players will be comfortable to do. Alright, well, mutas are coming, though. And that means that at least the Prism needs to be very careful. Hero is also kind of hitting the perfect timing, though. Yeah, he's marching around here with a pretty dang scary army. Warping over here from that Prism. Suddenly, right as the mutas are about to pop, Hero hits the perfect timing. I don't think he knew, but he probably added one and one together and figured it out. Still, though, the mutas are out. Prism immediately gets sniped. Random scouting immortal that has come from the other side of the map. Reynor trying to micro his butt off here against these units. Yet again, we're on hold position here on the army. Losing the immortals here, though, would be massively problematic for Reynor. I think he's fine. I think he's okay. I don't believe that Hero is going to be able to justify this attack with too much damage. Although, yeah, if you could snipe the third, that'd be big. Now, the mutas here being used to instantly go after the Prism was smart. We did have a warp pit of Stalkers, but Hero doesn't really want to walk them across the map until the Blink research is done. He probably would have warped these units in right next to the Prism if he would have had the shot, but couldn't quite pull that off. Okay, so Reynor yet again is stable. Still, this is multi-layered Protoss aggression. Maybe it started off in a bit of a weird way. Oh, look, the Spore Crawler died over at the third. Blink! The Dark Templar actually puts in a bit of work. 18 drones have died, by the way, during all of this, which is pretty crazy. Reynor finally has a fourth hatchery up, but because of Last Fantasy, he has built it in the direction of the opponent. Not really too keen on taking this tucked away expansion either, so it now means that Hero can make a relatively short run, especially with the lack of creep in this section of the map, towards this expansion. Still, yeah, Reynor's army is good. That was not a good start of the fight, though. Okay. Upper ramp into a choke point is always a bit sketchy. Now we're at the stage of the game, 10 minutes in or so, where the main base will start running low. So half of the mineral fields, they have less minerals in them in total, so they mine out faster. You can see that the skinny ones in the natural, are also starting to run low. So this is starting to become more and more critical here for Hero. Even though he's done a good job being relatively stable up until this point, he isn't really in like a dominating position. So either we need to deal damage with this attack sooner rather than later, or we have to go into a fourth Nexus. Or we can try and snipe a base of the opponent, I suppose. Do a little bit of multi-pronged aggression. Why not? Zealots over here are going to get cleaned up, though. I don't think we're gonna warp in, are we? Oh my god, we do? Where's the Mutas? The Mutas do kill the Prism, but not before the warp in can complete. Stalkers, in the meantime, are shutting down both drones as well as Ravagers. Did Hero just still do this? There's no freaking way, Hero. Did you just still pull this off? I mean, he's like 35 supply behind. But he has now reduced the Zerg's economy to the same number of mineral fields as his own. And Protoss, generally speaking, is more cost efficient. A little bit more gas loss because of the Archon situation, the Dark Templar and all that, but way more minerals lost. I think this is playable. Fourth Nexus starts up. Hero builds it in the direction of the opponent. Reynor decides to build his one again, also in the direction of the Protoss. So now they have become next door neighbors. Finally, the Mutas, though, have made their way across the map. The straight-up absurdity of this Protoss, like, playstyle in this entire series so far is something else. I kinda love it. I guess what this matchup comes down to, right, is that if Zerg blindly prepares for everything, they lose against straight-up macro. But if they don't, they can die to a plethora of other build orders. And because of the fact that, like, most of the time, I mean, not so far in this series, but most of the time it's a Stargate start, Zerg players feel compelled to not go for quick Overlord scouts, because if you lose 2 Overlords, you're also behind. So it's this weird puzzle that doesn't really seem to have an easy solution. Ooh, those biles were good, though. Hero not quite paying attention. Oh, he blinks in. He blinks in. Does he have enough? It's mostly Ravagers left over, and they're lower HP than Roaches. Zerglings right now are starting to pop out of the cocoons, though. This choke point is kind of crazy. Hero's sensing another wave of units. He now does have the 4th base up and running. Mutas are trying their best to harass whatever they can. But I think Reynor is losing the fight over on the creep. There's no way. I think Hero wins this. The Ravagers are slowly fizzling out. Now the Overseer is gone, by the way, so we could always go back to DTs. Cheeky little bit of micro here as well. He kills the 4th base. Protoss is now on 4, whereas Zerg is on 3. Wow. Reynor smashed his piggy bank and goes for a Hydra Den. I don't even know what we do with that. If you can somehow go up to Lurkers, sure. But you can't play Lurkers without 8 gas. So you need the extra gas income if you want to play Lurkers. Now, notice that Reynor has a lot of gas currently saved up. I think that probably was the original plan. The problem now is, though, if Zerg wants to go into Lurkers, they effectively need to be left alone for several minutes. And so far, at least the theme in these games is that Hero is not gonna leave the Zerg player alone. He's already warped in a nice group of sentries, and I think once they have accumulated a little bit of energy, we will go straight into a nice little attack yet again. Now, Baneling's over at the 4th base. Ooh, they could have done a bit more than this. What about the probes over in the natural? Okay. Yeah, 8 workers there for like a dozen Banes. I don't love that for Reynor. Reynor now trying to desperately go Lurker Den, but this is going to be Lair-Tech Lurkers, and Lair-Tech Lurkers are not nearly as scary as Hive-Tech Lurkers. The upgrades are usually what make Lurkers good, and Hero is ready to continue knocking at the front door of the Zerg. This is not a Protoss player who lets his foot off the gas today. Oozing confidence. Now, the Prism does die. I think that was Prism 4 or 3. Yeah, number 3, actually. We do, by the way, have Zerglings and Banelings nibbling away as well over at that 4th base. So maybe, actually, Reynor can still be okay, but he needs to clean up this army. This army needs to go before Zerg can possibly pull an eco advantage. And this is an army that is looking mighty powerful. it is also controlled by one of the very best micro players on the planet. So I don't think you're going to pull that off. Maybe? I mean, Reynor is doing some really solid micro as well, to be fair. Aggressive blink forward yet again. All Reynor looks for right now is some form of stabilization. As long as he can stabilize and pull that eco advantage off, he's going to be able to just use time to make more units. He's also got a lurker den done right now, and he's got enough gas for about 10 of them. Assuming he's got the Hydras. He's only got one Hydra, actually, at this point in time. GG. Okay. And that takes us to the map Persephone, which is match point already right here for Hero. Reynor has been entirely unable to get his feet under him so far. So, Hero so far, right? So he's doing like a weighted coin toss, right? That's effectively, he's putting a toss in coin toss, right? He's doing rock, paper, scissors, but he knows it's going to be rock more often than not, right? Like, he's going for strategies that are technically a bit of a gamble. So, rushing Dark Templar on 2 bases is not a strategy that really works most of the time. Rushing 2 base Tempests, also not really something that works most of the time, but if you know how to transition away from it and you can really thrive in those chaotic situations, it just seems nearly unbeatable. So again, the problem that Reynor runs into is that he can't properly scout and then also be able to play the macro game. So if he decides to go double Overlord Scout, if he, for example, opens up with very quick Overlord speed, yes, he can see what the opponent is gonna go for, but he will then more than often die to normal macro games because he has just invested into a ton of scouting, which you can't really financially recover from very well. It only really works then if the opponent miss macros, which it's a weird position to be in. Look at Reynor now, though, cutting corners. Reynor has now decided that the only way to apparently combat this is to go extreme macro early on. This is a build order right here that Reynor has gone for that dies to any early game aggression. From cannon rushes to proxy gates to all the rest of it. And if any Protoss at a high level would be willing to pull that off, it would of course be Hero. Now Reynor at this point has seen the second pylon right over here on the low ground. That does mean that there is a pylon out there somewhere. The norm is to go for the first pylon on the low ground and put a gateway right next to it. Reynor is effectively eating any sort of all-in right now, just with a GG. So Reynor right now, crossing his fingers, crossing his toes, and he's hoping, maybe praying, that this is not a proxy gate all-in here from Hero. Because it could very well be, but he has no way to counter it. So maybe the rock, paper, scissors is going to go in favor here of the Zerg this time around, and I think he'll be pretty pleased to see the Adepts right now moving out, because this indicates to him that he is safe, and he's gotten away with his greed. Okay. Now, it still means, of course, that something like link speed is going to be, yeah, absolutely critical. All of the early game timings are going to be slightly different from the Zerg, but Reynor will know how to play this sort of strategy out. Ooh, nice little bit of body blocking. I really like the body blocking here from Reynor so far. Honestly, Reynor is playing some really good StarCraft. Like, the scoreboard doesn't really reflect it, but he's not playing poorly. He's not really missing, as far as I can tell at the very least, any macro cycles. I don't think he is really making any critical mistakes. Safety Spore Crawler inside of the main base. Dude, is this possible for Reynor, though? Because he would have to win 4 games in a row against Hero. Which is, on paper, you know, if you have to make any guesses, I feel like nobody can really reliably win 4 games in a row against Hero. It's just... like, against a more stock standard Protoss, maybe against Classic, I could kind of see it. Blind Spore Crawlers, though, in 3 locations. Actually, I think 2 of them were blind. The third one was added in. Stasis? Hello? Okay, that's a mistake. That's a misplay right there. Oh, that's also a misplay, though. We have a few Adepts in the meantime going to town over at the base. So, an Oracle, big Stasis Ward, 4 drones. I don't think I hate this, actually, for Hero. Hero now going for an Adept push, but without glaives. We still do not have a third Nexus at a normal time. There's a good chance that Reynor will assume that this is going to be some sort of glaives, although he's actually droning behind this. So he feels like he needs to be making workers right now just to stay competitive. But he's seen the move out here. Now we start up links, but it's only 15 Zerglings at the moment against 11 Adepts. I find this a little bit fishy. I think there's only 8 over here, though. Shades into the natural expansion. Drones are going to be pulled for the defense. Close your eyes, Zerg players. What I always find funny about series like this, right, is that at some point you start wondering, okay, what do you even do as the Zerg? Right? What do you do? And then when you consider what most people are currently complaining about in the StarCraft community, there hasn't really been proper Skytles in this series. There hasn't been a single Storm research. And despite all of that, I mean, we did have that Tempest build, but I don't really consider that mass Skytles. Despite all of that, Hero is doing just fine. Hero is doing, yeah, really, really well. Now, losing the Oracle is actually kind of problematic. I know it's something that can happen. It's a mistake that can be made. Hero is now, by the way, going a third base and then also double Forge. So we're going double Forge Twilight. It's interesting. Most of the Protoss players over like the last year or so have been under the assumption that the only way to play this matchup is to go for an insanely greedy third Nexus. So it used to be 5 minutes, the normal timing for a third. Look at these Oracles. We're going, wait, we're going mass Oracle now? He's still making more. He's making more Oracles. Anyways, 5-minute third Nexus was the norm. And then it was like 4:15 or so. And then it became 3:50. And now we see some Protoss players going 1 gateway, cut the third Protoss unit out of the gate, and then go for like a 3:10 or so third Nexus. Hero's been making a third at about 6 minutes. On average, so far in this series, if he makes one at all. It is a different kind of greed, I guess. It's a greed as far as tech goes, rather than economy. But it's the polar opposite of the way that most Protoss players approach the game. What are we doing with these Oracles, dude? What? Hero is kind of... He's becoming more Hero. Where's he going, buddy? That was some of the slowest reaction time I've seen in a while. Okay. Apparently we made more Oracles, but then we decided to just give them away. Still though, 14 drones have gone down. And while the cost efficiency is not quite optimized here for Protoss, I also don't think it is an absolute disaster. Did he just lose another Oracle? Oh my god, he lost another Oracle in the far bottom right. Okay, sure. Normal positioning for the fourth is over here or over here. Apparently Hero is going to build it up. We're going Fleet Beacon, double upgrades. We're getting Blink. You know the picture of the Giga Chat? I think that's Hero right now. In the last few series I've seen Hero play, he has just been playing like an absolute gamer. Here go the Oracles again. We have had 6 Oracles so far in this game. The majority of them died. Looks like maybe Storm is going to be coming up now, eventually right here. But I think this is a good spot for Reynor. Even though I've been yapping and fanboying over Hero here for the last, I don't know, the entirety of this series. Trying to think of when I wasn't fanboying of... Yeah, no, it's been the entire series. I'm sorry. Oh, Zerglings around the back. Banelings around the front. Lovely move right here by Reynor. And that is going to be at the end of the 4th Nexus. Cancel? Cancel? Okay, he does cancel at the very least. Bunch of stasis wards set up as well. But I think Reynor has a real opportunity to push through right now. He's got +2 melee coming up. We end up with good old Roach Hydraling Bane. I don't think he's going to make more Roaches. It'll probably be pure Hydraling Bane moving forward. But Reynor has stabilized. And he is on 80 workers right now. He's got 5 bases. I think he can do the same thing. And rinse and repeat. Centrifugal Hooks is going to be +5 HP to the Banes. Yeah, I think there's a great position right here for Reynor. He doesn't even have to attack. He could just, like, soft contain the Protoss player. Hero, by the way, playing really greedy, right? Like, double upgrades, Fleet Beacon, blind 4th Nexus. Like, it's all... It's a little too much. I feel like you could maybe do 2 out of those 3 things, but when you do all of it, it really cuts into the amount of army that you have. Zerglings right now slip into the base. Double upgrades, by the way, may very well get denied. Pylon, though, did finish again, so there's a chance he can still, wrap up those last few seconds. But the Protoss are already starting to become a little bit problematic. And I think Reynor has his opponent right now exactly where he needs him. Yeah, GG. Now, this series has been so crazy that I haven't really even had the time to talk much about this. What is this? Can we talk about this for a second? The norm for Protoss, I mean, I did mention it briefly in one of the previous games, but the norm for Protoss is to build their first pylon right over here so they can build a wall off really early on. Usually against Protoss, you build your first pylon over here, and then you go double 3x3 structure so you can wall off with a pylon or a shield battery, for example, to prevent a depth shades from coming in. In Terran versus Protoss, the norm is to build your gateways right over here, so you can prevent a Reaper from jumping into your main base. This is not something you usually do. Maybe against Terran you could pull this off, but against Zerg? We're walling the main. And not even the ramp, but we're walling the mineral line, sort of. Ish. Still a lot of entrances. This pylon is also so far forward. Well, credit where credit is due. I think most of us, myself included, treat StarCraft strategies like an accountant, you know? You want all the numbers to make sense. You want the spreadsheet to come down to 0 at the very bottom. Everything adds up. I would not want Hero as my accountant. You know, I feel like Showtime, for example, would make a better accountant than Hero. Although I don't think neither of them went to university, so you know, maybe we shouldn't do it. But evidently, what Hero is doing is awfully effective, and I kind of miss this sort of playstyle. We used to see it as well from Dark with Zerg. Now, I'm assuming Dark will come back within the year or so, because he's been doing his military service over in Korea. He has still been playing a lot of ladder on the weekends, so I think it's a fair assumption that Dark will come back at some point, but that very creative, that very loose approach, I think it is something that is certainly worth considering. I can't play like this for the life of me, by the way. Like, this is not, like, I've tried playing like this. My brain does not wrap around this whatsoever. I can't, it's not my style. But I've always admired players that can just sort of play strategies on the fly and just sort of mix it up a bunch. So yet again, we've got ourselves a Stargate opener, but then a follow-up with a Robo first. Why would you go Robo first? Normally, it would be for a very quick Prism, right? So you can go and build, like, for example, Dark Templar and warp them in. Maybe you can go Archon juggling and all the rest of it. Are we going to go Immortals? Are we going to go Prisms? Are we going to go quick Robo Bay? All of those strategies I would consider to be B tier at best. Probably even below C tier. Probably. I think I would probably consider it C tier. Stasis Ward yet again. Worked out previously, but not this time around. Reynor going +1 melee. Okay. Now we go Templar Archives together with +1 melee. So what's this first Prism gonna be for? Like, we really rushed out the Prism. Is it just to protect the Adepts and to warp in a few? We could have just warped these in at home, though. Like, we could have done this with as many Adepts, but without the Prism, but then a third base instead. Would you rather have a third base now or a Prism? Well, obviously, that's also assuming here that, well, Reynor is not respecting the Prism a little bit too much. Now we're gonna go Archon drops. Delayed Archon drops. Delayed third Nexus, but I guess everything's still alright, because it's such a major guessing game right now for Reynor. Because what in the world are you going up against? This is about a 5-minute third, by the way. Which, again, it used to be the norm. It used to be the norm for years. Just hasn't been for like 5. No, maybe like 8. It hasn't been the norm for a long-ass time. Maybe it should be, though. Okay. 4th hatchery here of the Zerg. Probably can keep it around. Reynor definitely not skipping out the Roach Warren so far. I think he did it once in this series, but generally you don't skip the Roach Warren against somebody like Hero. Oracle up in the air, trying to be a nuisance. Little Zergling run by over here, though, is very efficient. Yeah, this is great work right here by Reynor. 8 probes is very significant. Still, ooh, we're dancing with the Prism. Prism is very low. Spore Crawler has been repositioned. Apparently, we're going to just try and hunt down the Queens. Man, he is murdering Queens today. Dude, the way he micros the Archons around the main. Oh, careful, the Spore Crawler. Okay. Sure, it's fine. Don't worry about it. 4 Queens. 4 Queens have died. If it wasn't for that little Zergling run by at the 3rd, where Reynor, I think, killed 8 of the 9 workers that he has killed so far in his game, this would have been an absolute disaster. He's still dancing? My god, dude, you have like 1 HP on that Prism. Kills another Queen. Oh. I'm starting to get nerd chills. It's kind of beautiful. Didn't we already make one of those? Yeah, we already have a Templar Archives. We have 2 Templar Archives. Sure, we didn't need resources anyway. Okay, we did use the new one for Storm. So this one is for Archons. This one is for Psystorm. Excellent. We gotta make sure we min-max that sort of thing. Run away. Muscular Augments is going to be available in a moment. That's the movement speed for the Hydras. Having it done right now would be kind of awesome. But I think the Prism is going to be around for a little bit longer. High Templar, though, are finally being built. We haven't seen them yet throughout this series, have we? Other than Archons. I don't believe we've seen them being made. Fleet Beacon on the back of this as well. This is the, at least, semblance of a normal build. Did the Prism die? Oh yeah, the Prism died. So the Archons, okay, one of them goes down as well. Prism indeed at 1 HP. Probably died because of Muscular Augments finishing up on the Hydras. But now we're going into good old Skytos instead. So this is looking like the most macro-focused game so far. Now I say that right around the time that Hero decides to go for a move out, because of course he is. He's now doing a move out without a Warp Prism. Usually one of the golden rules for Protoss is to never attack without a Warp Prism and an Observer. Hero is... He's doing a gigantic split, by the way. Here's the other half of the Protoss now moving in. Both of the parties have Storm. Can he just kill the base? Just kill the base and recall? Storm the drones and recall? Yeah. Sorry, Zealots. You guys did the majority of the work. One Immortal does not live up to its name, but I mean, it's a hatchery for an Immortal. A couple drones, a few Zealots. Yeah, I don't think that's terrible. Especially considering Hero just also forced to cancel on that hatchery over here. Mama's coming up. Spire, though, is also building right now for Reynor. Storms over here could be dangerous, yeah. Bunch of Zealots just having a lunch break in the middle of the map. That's going to be all of them dying. No recall available for you. Greater Spire coming up for Reynor. This has got to be the most chaotic series, though, that I've seen Hero play in a while. And that says a lot, especially for Hero. The man loves chaos. Still, though, the overextension is now notable, right? Like, this is a lot of expensive Protoss units going down. Yet again, there is a counterattack on the right side of the map. Look at the Chad Immortals. Ready to turn their guns into another structure. Ba-doom. Ba-doom. Using the High Templar with Storm to zone away against the Hydras and the Lynx. Ba-doom. We go back to the hatch. And we back up. Do we recall, though? Do we have recall available again, Hero? It's got to be close. Oh, no. Did we just outsmart ourselves? Well, recall is not yet available. And that now opens up the door here for Reynor to go in. In the meantime, Mama is out. Mama is going to activate cloaking. Woo! Sorry. Dude, the storms are juicy, though. Tempest production. Tempest together with two Immortals. Again, frequently do we see Protoss players deciding to either play Skytolls or ground. In this particular instance, Hero is doing both. Immediately, Mama is going out on her own, probably looking for an offensive recall. Hero is combining everything. Like, there is no chill anywhere. Hero's the guy at the stoplight that will just press gas, like, all the way through, right when the light turns. He paid for all this horsepower. May as well use it. Reynor kind of sitting like a kicked puppy in the back of his bases so far, man. Like this entire series, honestly. He's trying his best to really find his footing, but there's just a scouting Immortal again in the middle of the map. He's just he's just walking to join with his friends. Oh, Mama, in the meantime, has to fend for herself. Stays alive. More storms over here. Why are we not having the mothership here, man? I guess we want to recall it, but he's a little afraid now. Oh, here goes Reynor. Banelings will connect. And that's another expensive Protoss army down the gutter. Yeah, I think sometimes Hero can kind of get away just a little bit from himself, right? Where he's getting this momentum going, but he's not a Terran player, so he can't just pile it on and pile it on and pile it on and really snowball to the win right away. I mean, he's still moving, though. It's, again, a split army. We did see him aggressively all-army hotkeying with observers in one of the previous games when he went for that Stalker all-in on Last Fantasy, but in this game, it is all hotkeys and all multitasking. Okay, now, we're 13, nearly 14 minutes in, and Zerg is unable to get a 5th base going, which is becoming massively problematic. Like, Reynor has been winning every battle, I think, but he might not be winning the war. Because Hero, in the meantime, does, or Reynor, rather, has been winning every battle, but not the war. Reynor here is unable to get a 4 or a 5th, but Hero already has his up and running. Ultra Cavern right now coming up. Immortal production, though, has been ridiculously high so far. 11 Immortals have died, so I really don't see how Immortals are going to have a difficult time dealing with Ultras. Little Zergling run by yet again. Reynor's signature move, of course. Maybe finally Reynor is going to be able to strike back and deal some serious damage here. I think that's exactly right. Nobody can play Protoss like this. Many people attempt it, but... I feel like what always sets Hero, but also players like Dark aside, aka like the craziest players out there at a high level, is that they will immediately reconsider their next win condition. So like a lot of us usually have to sit there and think about it for a moment, but Hero seems to think, okay, this is a bad spot, what do I do now? What do I do next? Where do I go from here? And it's the logical thing to do, but most of us sit there for at least a half minute or so trying to reconsider where we should be taking the game. Hero always thinking about the next win condition, it seems. What can I do to still win? Even though I'm very far behind, how do I still squeeze a victory out of this? And it seems to work. Oh my god, did he just still do this? Hey, one of those scouting immortals finally got killed. Mama is doing it herself. Oh. The storms, the fungals, man. It is not going to happen whatsoever. So GG gets called, and it's Hero who obtains the victory, absolutely destroying Reynor 4-1. Honestly, across the board, this series was not even close. Even in the game that Reynor ended up winning, it was mostly due to Hero getting carried away with his own aggression. Obviously, don't get me wrong, I don't want to take anything away from Reynor's win, but it was mostly a win, I think, because Hero just got a little bit too fancy for his own liking. Like, maybe he just needed to scale it back just a tad. He would have been able to hold that Hydra-Dwelling Bane push quite nicely, but he lost like a half dozen Oracles and still almost held, so... Yeah, I think if he would have not lost that many Oracles, the game would have been far more manageable. But across the board, Hero just looks like he is on another level. Protoss has never been played like this before.